1 to 600. Yes, Reynor is in Korea, but we're playing on
we are
US
back
East.
once again for the first ZVZ.
Not all Europeans will let him play on US East, and please do not make out anybody to seem to be the bad guy if they say, like, I just want to play on Europe. Because I love Reynor to bits, but if Reynor is in Korea and I'm in Europe and I would somehow be a competitive player, and the tournament is a European tournament, I would play Europe. And that's not because I want to do Reynor dirty, but that's just because I want to play games with low ping, because that's way better than playing games cross-server. That's not a bad thing. So just because Aristori is this nice, do not assume that everyone else is going to be that nice to Reynor, because they have no obligation at all to be that nice.
Honestly, looking at the day's schedule, these are some of my favorite matchups for sure.
Yeah. The ones right here at the end are going to be an absolute blast, I think. I mean, that TVZ we had earlier today was also a bit of a special one, right? I mean, the Mio Micah series never really tend to be... In case you missed it, imagine a game about 25 minutes long, and Terran builds literally about 30 command centers.
Now, I think this is very important. Just because Aristori is this nice, do not expect this from other players, because it's really unfair to expect this. Like, people like playing games with low ping, and it's not on the other players to be this nice to Reynor, because Reynor wants to be in Korea for this tournament. Like, that's Reynor's decision. Reynor made his bet. He knows what he signed up for. Reynor is okay with it. Reynor is expecting to play on the European server. So do not think that someone is bad-mannered if they force Reynor to play in Europe, because that's not the case at all. That's just... you're allowed to play on your home server for the regional tournament that you qualified for.
For Platinum Esports with a 12 pool, starting things off fiery. It is Aristori. That's a good map for it. It's a short map.
We might actually go for a drone... Link drone pool even. This might not just be 12 pool, guys. He might actually bring the drones as well and go for a spine crawler rush.
So Reynor recently announced that he is going to be making... Well, I was going to say make a move, but he is spending...
But that would be a bad call against pool first.
...over in South Korea, which is, of course, a great place if you enjoy StarCraft 2, but if you're playing in European tournaments...
5'5", 5'6", Dakila here. And I don't think I'm lowballing him there, but I think that's really what it is. 5'5", 5'6". I've played against Aristori many times.
This can really...
And that's always been the MMR that he said. I think the best he ever did is like 5'8" or 5'9". But I think right now it's like 5,600 maybe.
Up with a pool first. That is not a good feeling whatsoever. We are going to see Aristori behind this. He takes a gas, and I'm almost certain this is going to be a Speedling flood behind all this.
Yeah.
But Reynor is, I mean, he is so well set up. Going 16 pool or 17 pool against a 12 pool, it is the dream scenario. It really doesn't get better than that.
Yep. As far as rock, paper, scissors go, this is about as good as Reynor could have opened up. He sees right now, decides to pull a couple drones, which is kind of cute. Apparently, he feels like he needs them. I mean, additional links will be popping out in just a moment. And, well, so far, Reynor already with a 5-worker lead, which normally wouldn't be significant, but if you only have 12 drones, it's
I don't know why
the percentage here is absolutely massively in favor of Reynor.
I'm getting the WTL code 8 treatment over here.
No, he is doing a Speedling all-in with this. This is meant to be a, I'm 12 pulling you, haha.
Yeah, this is close to, I think, a build or the loss, unless Reynor somehow goes mega stubborn, does not pay attention, and only builds drones, but I really don't think that's going to happen. The chances of Aristori winning game 1 are around like 2 or 3%, I think.
Actually heading out, and you can see Aristori is desperate to deny this scout from coming on in, because if Reynor figures it out, he will either A, wall the front, or B, just build like 2 spines and some extra queens and be totally fine.
Yeah, so Aristori is basically just making non-stop Zerglings here, and he will send them all across the map. Now, this Ling wants to scout out exactly what's happening. Aristori is making this look like a 12 pool into a 17 hatch. Okay, getting a glimpse of this is absolutely
And that's the GG scout, because now we're going to build spines, links, drones, and it's over.
So this is going to give Reynor a little bit of a heads up. He wants to stay on that natural. He could even give up the natural. I wonder if he needs to be here. But
I don't agree with that. But
yeah, no, even really that many units.
You gotta save the natural. I don't think you can give up the natural and be comfy about it. There is a lot of lings.
Statfest is right in that one.
3 queens adding DPS. and minimal surface area on them. This is not so bad. Is there enough energy for a transfuse?
He doesn't need it.
Oh, he didn't even need it. Yeah, never mind. Not even close.
Spinecrawler is going to finish up as well. There are the
poor Aristori.
though.
This was worst case scenario into worst case scenario. Yeah.
He's going to be returning to
Nothing you can do
in a minute or so when he finish up his own link speed. Bailing Nest on the back of this too. Aristori really doesn't have a choice other than just
continue
double down.
Commit. Yeah,
he needs to continue committing here. Reynor makes another worker. I really don't think he needs he needs the drone here. Just send it here when link speed finishes up. But he's crossing his T's, dotting his I's, trying to be as safe as he possibly can be. Taking a page out of Showtime's book from earlier.
Yeah, and obviously you can get yourself in a little bit of trouble, but he's getting this wall set up at the natural, and there is
no trouble here.
Even without the Bailing Nest being done.
Not to be mean, but Reynor can actually take his hands off the keyboard and he will be fine here. Like, he doesn't even need to do anything. He can just have hands off the keyboard, let units do auto attack, and he'll be okay.
And that might allow him to break in here initially, but he's never in a million years going to win from this position. And there's the GG getting called. Reynor, excellent defense. He puts himself up 1-0.
Yeah, making it look very easy here. So Aristori never really made any drones in this game, right? He literally just held down the Zergling key for well, as long as possible. I think he made like 3 drones at the very beginning of the game just to get it all going. But
I mean, Ducky is joking, obviously, that Aristori would have won this game on Europe. But there is a chance that Reynor had a completely different game plan to play on Europe than he does on US East. On US East, he might be like, oh, I can just play safe and I'll be fine because I am the superior player. Maybe if Reynor had to play like cross-server from Korea to all the way to Europe, he would probably have a different opening. I'm not sure. We cannot know for certain, but there is a chance that he would have gone for a completely different opening because it really does change the game altogether.
Because he knows he's playing with ping. And Aristori knows that Reynor's playing with ping too. That's obviously that's not hidden information. They both know that. So it makes sense for Aristori to go for something like this, but it makes sense for Reynor to over defend just a little bit and be like, okay, I can still beat you with faster speed or, you know, better decision making or better macro. Like, Reynor is going to be comfortable, generally speaking, in the macro game. And of course, he knows that it's a 12 pool. So it's like, okay, why would I go crazy on cutting every possible corner for a defense where I know I've got like such an advantage?
Well, absolutely. It was a cool attempt right there by Aristori, because when you think about it, right, if you are the underdog and you are playing ZVZ against somebody with ping, what exactly do you do? And I feel like the build order of choice here from Aristori was very good. But it is one of those build orders that is a bit of a coin flip because it gets countered pretty easily by any sort of pool first build. The only problem is that at the highest level, 9 times out of 10, it is a hatchery first, and Reynor obviously knows he's the favorite going into this, so he decided, yo, what is my opponent likely to do? And he decided to play it very safe from there, opened up with the pool first. Probably wouldn't do that against somebody like, for example, Serral.
I mean, Optimus Carrot, I don't really agree with that statement. Like, yes, we've seen Cure win a weekly from Korea on the European server, but we've also had Koreans try probably like 100 times. So out of 100 times, the Koreans won the weekly 1 time. So is it possible to have a run and win a couple games? Yes, it's possible. But to say it's not that bad, it is that bad. Like, let's be honest, it really is that bad. And I think anyone in the top 16 is going to put up a really good fight against Reynor. And I think the top 12 is probably favored over Reynor. Like, if Reynor has to play on Europe, I think the entire top 12 of Europe is favored over Reynor.
Less than 1 minute into the game, he has a higher drone count than he ever touched in that previous game. That's fun. It's gonna be a gas pool opener here.
Go like, yeah, very quick gas pool here.
Thank you, by the way, Ducky. Thank you, Pilot, as well. Welcome, guys. Appreciate it.
Opposite end of the, you know, cheese spectrum and focus on
and TWS
mass economy here. But
vamos,
no, Reynor, once again, this could be just a safe opener once more, right? Like, he doesn't have to get aggressive with this. Just get link speed going, maybe get a safety Bailing Nest, test the waters a little bit with some units, but he doesn't have to like commit to an all-in off of this.
No, he certainly doesn't, but it does give you the opportunity to either A, go for like a big Speedling flood, like you can do a Speedling flood all in with this, or you can, you know, continue to mine gas, get a Baneling nest, try and put on some very early pressure before the ling speed of Aristori would be done. But ultimately, more so than anything, it is a very safe opener with options. And there we can see Mapu, of course, showing us that, yes, he is still mining with 2 drones on gas, which does make it much more likely that we're probably going to see a Baneling nest and probably going to see a decent level of commitment coming in from Reynor here. Aristori, not actually electing to take one of his drones off gas, which is a little bit notable and could end with him getting a faster Baneling nest. Which would
Mapu is our German observer, but he's actually not living in Germany. He's been living in Japan, Tokyo, for quite some time, or close to Tokyo. I don't know where he lives exactly. Apparently it's 3 a.m. right now. Mapu is going to have a very awkward schedule for the upcoming weeks if he does a lot of this observing, because he's going to be observing almost every day from 8 p.m. till 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. in the morning. Awkward.
Yeah, it's so sketchy.
I mean, it won't be all Mapu. I think Njal is doing observing too, and he's from Sweden. But for Mapu, it's pretty awful times.
You gotta be so on point with your control. You don't really usually practice with ping either, so it's one of those things where, like, yeah, you may practice the matchup a ton, but you're not really going to be practicing with everything being like 0.2 seconds delayed.
Yeah.
So I kind of figured we were going to see some quick roach warrants or something like that, but hey, Aristori wins that little engagement.
Yeah, Reynor pulling back one of the lings a little too early here. Here come the first banes. Oh, Aristori almost eating a massive Baneling connection. Already a lot of damage, though, losing the queen. And that is a manual detonation. It's a good one. Reynor already finding a lot of momentum here. And he's detonated the last of his opponent's Banelings. There is still one Baneling here for Reynor. It will get detonated. Good job from Aristori. But still, I think Reynor's going to be content with this. Killing a queen, very good.
Yeah, that was like a bit of a skill check almost, right? Just making sure that Aristori can micro his units as well. And he didn't really get an overwhelming advantage, but as the defending player, usually you have to overmake defense, and Aristori should be going across the map right now. You really should get across ASAP, because until you go across the map, you can't really start droning very comfortably either. So he needs to get some value, and all of a sudden it's a 8-worker advantage, or well, maybe a little less now, for Reynor, which really adds up so quickly over the course of a minute or two.
That it does. Oh, wow, that actually canceled the Baneling. There's only one Baneling on the field right now, and another one will pop out. Ah, okay, yeah, no, I think, well, no. Reynor's going to be able to build enough lings to be fine against the first wave, but more Banelings coming on forward here.
That's a lot of Banes.
It's a little bit scary for Reynor.
Yeah.
Aristori, I think he should have committed to the mineral line right there.
The drones! Build spines! Spines!
Up. And
that got very sketchy there for just a moment, though, because Reynor was certainly in a position where he could have gotten overwhelmed there, and he could have retargeted a couple of different things. Aristori, that is. He's just doubling down with the aggression at this point, probably smelling like that was his opportunity. Because he actually did make a bunch of drones on the back of it as well.
Oh,
one of those scenarios where, in hindsight, maybe you should have made non-stop lings instead, giving Reynor a lot of respect. But so far, I mean, not the perfect defense.
Aristori has a lot of money, by the way, and he doesn't seem like he's able to spend it.
He's on a 3rd hatchery as well as a roach warren, so he is ready to make that transition towards a more stable unit in just a sec.
Yes, of course, roaches, while they may not be that much more powerful than the Banelings, and they lack the ability to kill a bunch of units, they are so good against this committed Ling Bane aggression, because they're never going to be blown up by your opponent's Banelings, you know? If there's enough Banelings to blow up roaches,
this kind of seems that this is game over as well. I think Reynor is too far ahead.
Particular instance, or your
don't think Aristori really got much going.
That it's fine anyways.
Yeah, they said US East, but as Clem pointed out in the chat, I think US East doesn't exist these days, so US East is actually US Central.
In the coffin as far as the aggression goes, and now suddenly Reynor is finding himself with a very significant advantage. Plus, he actually managed to kill a bunch of drones.
He did. He got 5 drones on the other side of the map, slipped in a couple of Banelings. Oh, great job.
Yeah, but if it's like US Central, it's not surprising that Reynor looks as good as he does. I don't know if they went to Europe for game 2. If it was, very impressive. If this was US Central, I think it played out in the way that we expect this to play out.
Your opponent in ZVZ Ling Bane Wars, you're you can keep raising this level of a skill check. Like most other matchups have a ceiling where once you've done a good enough job defending or being aggressive or whatever, it's just that's it. Like there's obviously still micro you can do, but it's a lot more subtle and it's not as I guess definitive. In ZVZ though, it can get very definitive.
No, absolutely, yeah. Like it can be very black or white, right? In the other matchups where either you kill the immortal or you don't. But in ZVZ, like technically speaking, with these fast-moving units, the sky is the limit.
Did you ask him, Reynor, or did he just came out of the blue and said, "Hey man, let's play US Central"? How did you guys end up on the American server?
Yes.
Yeah, well done right there by Reynor.
I just
2-0 win there for him.
little passive aggressive. I see. Snuck it in there. Little question mark. Like, you want to play EU, bro? You want to play EU? Really? You're gonna do me dirty like that?
I'm probably pretty happy that that one is over because playing a ZVT with something.
I would prefer to play in Europe, but I'm open for NA East if admins agree. Very sweet boy, Aristori. Very sweet boy.
Yeah. There
was for errors, just
no.
Right now he obviously chose to go to Korea.
All right. I would say though, do not get used to it, Reynor. But I think you know that obviously. But very nice of him. Like guys, kudos to Aristori. Personally, I think Aristori was too nice here.
Yeah, he gets the job.
But it's very sweet of him.
To another quick break, and then it will be
The boys already told me no shot is happening. We're forcing EU. Yeah, but you can't blame them, right? Like, they are right. And you know that too, because you know what you signed up for. Like, this is not weird or anything. This was, I would consider this today as a very pleasant surprise. But I would absolutely not get used to it.
Like month or two, and it feels like his skill level has really found a new peak. But what a
how much latency would Reynor need to be on
next level where you get
for you to have a good shot, Roddy? Anything above 30 ping, Reynor will be struggling a little. That's why he was afraid to play me last time. I remember. You guys remember.
We got 2 more series ahead of us.